Have you ever wondered how your burger patty stays so perfectly roundish? Today we dive into the squishy, squirmy, and oh so satisfying world of meat patty making. From ground meat to grill-ready goodness, let's explore how the magic happens without falling apart. Stay tuned and get ready to laugh your buns off. Workers stuff ground meat into a thingy magic. They squish it really hard, making little meatball things that won't fall apart easily. This way, when they cook the patties, they can ensure that every patty is the same size, while keeping them perfectly roundish. It's a burger factory, obviously. Then they flatten the meatball things into patties. Add some salt, then a little sweet onion, because why not? Flip it, add cheese and tomato. Because it's a burger, cover it up so the cheese gets all melted. Then it's ready for the burger. Besides this type of burger, they also squish onions directly onto the meatballs and cook them without flipping. 7 minutes later, no flipping required. Seriously, no flipping. Then add cheese and burger buns. Wait for the cheese to soften. Makes for a nice soft burger. Behold, the onion explosion burger. Besides this fresh patty method, some workers use frozen patties. Frozen beef goes into a grinder, chopped and squished into ground meat. Then, with the help of some very helpful workers, via a conveyor belt to a patty-forming machine, the machine squishes the still slightly frozen meat directly into perfectly uniform patties. Back on the conveyor belt, into a giant freezer. When they emerge from the super long freezer, they're solid as a rock. Then, other workers package them up. Meanwhile, other workers prep the veggies. Burger toppings galore. Once everything's ready, they thaw the patties. Squish them and cook them and other burger things. And meats, etc. Maybe even some fruit, because why not? When everything is cooked and ready, they assemble the burgers into burger shapes, ready to be enjoyed, probably. And now, I'm going to show you, my friend, how gluten are made. Workers toss the freshly washed gluten, still dripping from its flour bath, into a machine that looks like a torture device. First, it dices the gluten into bite-sized pieces, which then plummet into a spinning, circular platform below. A ring of spinning spikes, like a demonic merry-go-round, then, gently nudges the falling gluten to the other side of the machine at a snail's pace. Then, via a process best described as aggressive cuddling, the gluten is tightly wrapped around a constantly rotating metal rod. Next, a gentle shove liberates the gluten from its metallic embrace. Or sometimes, the gluten is simply relocated to another stick. This is a gluten processing factory, and it's a wild ride. It all begins with workers sending flour via pneumatic tubes to a mixer below. Think of it as flour's express lane to deliciousness, along with a generous helping of water. Because hydration is key, this allows the protein in the flour to happily congregate while being vigorously swirled with water, gradually clumping together, forming gluten. And then, along with the leftover water, it plops into a sink below. This sink is cleverly designed with holes to help the excess water escape. Drainage, people, it's important. Leaving behind gluten that's then expertly sliced into portions by human hands. These portions are carefully placed on a nearby countertop for another worker. It's a gluten assembly line. More slicing ensues. Then, with a splash of warm water, it's fed back into the machine for further processing. The gluten's on a journey. During this stage, the gluten receives a vigorous massage and cleansing. It's like a spa day for gluten. The resulting gluten rolls travel via conveyor belt to a steaming tunnel. It's a gluten sauna. When the gluten emerges, it's perfectly cooked and shaped. A gluten masterpiece. These gluten rolls are then processed differently, depending on how they'll be eaten. Some are sliced into perfectly even pieces by a high-tech slicer. Then, they take a dip in a vat of hot oil. It's a gluten baptism, deep-fried to perfection until they are golden brown and crispy. The workers carefully scoop them out and toss them into a rotating drum sieve. This drum sieve is then placed into a hopper. Gravity is doing its job here. This removes excess oil while fans cool the gluten rolls. It's a gluten spa day, part 2. After all that, the rolls are ready to be transported for packaging via conveyor belt, the final leg of the journey. Along the way, the rolls pass through a sorting device to separate them by size, because even gluten deserves some respect. Then they're ready for packaging, depending on customer needs. And that, my friends, is how you make gluten. Want to laugh your buns off with more surprising stories? Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below and let us know what everyday item you'd like to see next. Until then, keep it roundish, keep it funny, and keep it delicious.